With us now is former Democratic strategist Dan Turrentine and NewsNation political contributor and Republican strategist Denise Gitsham. Denise, good to see you again. Mr. Turrentine, welcome. Denise, we know despite the Supreme Court ruling on Chicago, you just heard Joe talk about it, the White House is still deploying troops to New Orleans. As an attorney, is the New Orleans deployment any different than Chicago, or will this get struck down too?
It's entirely different. In New Orleans, we have Governor Landry, who's the governor of Louisiana. And Louisiana state law explicitly says that the National Guard there is used for things like public safety and law enforcement and reducing crime. Moreover, it was Governor Landry who requested 1,000, not the 350 National Guard troops that were actually allowed by the DOD, but he had to go through a process of requesting 1,000 troops, National Guard troops, to be activated. And again, because the federal government pays for it, they only authorize a third of those troops. So we have National Guardsmen that are going to be very present throughout Mardi Gras. You guys can all go and enjoy it. It's going to be safer than ever.
Dan, what could this ruling mean for President Trump going forward? Do you think the White House will feel stifled in any way after this ruling?
No, I don't, because I think, look, while obviously the law is important, what you're talking about is process right now. And for most Americans, the idea of making their city safer is what they care about. And I think, Democrats got in a little bit of trouble when they were trying to just kind of belittle urban crime as, oh, it's always been the case, or, some of these neighborhoods have always had high crime, or so there's nothing to see here. When most citizens said, quietly welcomed a stronger police force, and the statistics are bearing it out. Crime is going down. It was going down before this, but it's going down more with the National Guard. So, I think the White House feels pretty good at the end of the day politically on this.
Let's talk about the Caribbean now. Trump reportedly ramping up pressure on Venezuela's Maduro. He's sending troops, aircrafts to the region. Dan, I'll stick with you for a moment. Do you think this is going to lead to an all-out conflict? What is the strategy or the end game here?
I honestly have no idea, and frankly, somewhat surprised that Democrats, and understandably, I know the boats and blowing them up has been in the news, but yeah. I don't know what we're doing. Is the rationale to stop the flow of drugs? At times you hear, we want their oil fields. At other times you hear this is really about Cuba, that Venezuela, ultimately is the backstop for Cuba. The country needs to have a debate, because we are truly trying to change a regime and nation build here. The last few times that hasn't ended very well. So that's where I think Americans deserve answers.
Denise, another foreign conflict right after the holidays. President Trump will meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It's planned for Monday at Mar-a-Lago. What do you think will come out of that meeting? Will we get an update on phase 2 of the peace deal currently underway?
Yeah, I think President Trump will get exactly what he wants for Christmas, which is his Gaza peace plan to go through exactly how it's stated. Now, I understand and empathize with Netanyahu and all of his parties and all Israelis' desire to see an ongoing IDF presence in Gaza. And in fact, that's what a majority of Israelis polled want, which is why you're seeing the Israeli defense minister make comments about, we're never leaving the area. Of course, you want to trust but verify. That's a legitimate concern, but it's not in the 20-point peace plan. In fact, the peace plan explicitly says Israel will not be allowed to stay. So unless you think you can get above the United States and what President Trump has done to broker this peace deal and get around it somehow, I think that's a sticking point that at the end of the day, Trump is going to win.
Yeah, I want to elaborate on what you said. Israel's defense minister said just that. He would never leave Gaza. He will build Jewish settlements there when the time is right. That's a quote. That appears to contradict President Trump's plan. Dan, is this the kind of rhetoric that is harmful to peace efforts? Do you think this will impact phase 2 of the deal?
Yeah, I think, look, there's that, and the fact that Hamas is starting to rebuild and there's a vacuum right now. We still don't have an international, I don't know what they're calling it, security force to patrol the streets. And I think Israel, as my colleague said, is rightfully concerned about what could redevelop on their border. I also think, by the way, they're meeting to talk about concerns with Iran rebuilding their ballistic missiles. So there's going to be a lot on the plate for them to discuss.
Speaking of a lot to talk about, we have to talk about Ukraine. We know Zelenskyy saying today he's open to creating a demilitarized zone as part of a peace plan. Denise, will this bring Putin to the table?
I don't know if Putin wants peace. It doesn't seem like
Yeah.
he does. He's certainly never given any indication that he wants to do anything other than dangle, some treats in front of someone's nose and hope that everyone jumps and salivates over it. And unfortunately, at times it seemed as if the U.S. has done just that. I do think President Trump probably has more up his sleeve than he's probably talked about behind closed doors, I'm hoping, because right now we must stand with the side of freedom. And we must also bring this war to an end. There's no reason for us to continue watching so many people die. I think this DMZ idea is a great one. We've got a couple of them around the world. I actually went to the one in Golan Heights between Israel and Syria. It was one of the most interesting parts of my tour to Israel. And it's working. It's working sort of. Nothing really works unless everyone's committed to it. But it does in South Korea and North Korea because we have an international presence that's there to ensure and stand by the values and the freedoms that we believe in, stand with freedom-loving people. And that's what we need to do.
Dan Turrentine, Denise Gitsham, thanks for joining us, guys, and Merry Christmas. We appreciate your time.